it was my third attempt, and in my first two attempts, I could not clear prelims. So, as I said, I could not clear prelims. Since you know I am a foundation course student, I largely relied on my foundation notes only for every subject. So, अगेन नए नए सोर्सेज बनाने से कोई फ़ायदा नहीं होता. आप CSAT तो 2 घंटे लगते ही है उसमें तो. देन फॉर GS4 स्मृति मैम्स नोट्स एंड जतिन सर ऑल्सो टॉट अस ethics in our batch.
Good evening, everyone. So thank you so much. So lovely to see such a wonderful young crowd today. And today we are starting our Topper Talks. So why this is special is because, you know, the relevance of Topper Talks is not about the fact that, you know, it's only to inspire you. It is actually to get a relatable insight from somebody who has walked that path and has created their mark in one of the most toughest exams in all over the country. You're going to listen to it from somebody who was in your shoes, who has had those doubts, who has worked very hard and has done it. Okay? Why today is actually very special as because, you know, we have somebody who has sat just exactly here, like you. And it is my great pleasure and an honor, with a lot of love and warmth, we invite today's topper, who will be joining us in a second. I would just give you a heads up that if you want to ask a question, all right, just raise your hand and we will give you a mic. The reason for that is that so that you at least with the audio. And raise your hands whenever you have. We'll give you a proper chance to ask the questions. Make your questions reasonable, all right, related to academics. One thing that she has an optional as history, so I would expect questions from history, how to mug up facts. I think she'll have a good insights into that. So, a little introduction about her. So basically, she started with us as a foundation student, and she's from Haryana, and it's her third attempt. This year, she scored rank 66, and it's a great pleasure to actually welcome her here. Her optional is history. And she's done her graduation and post-graduation with her subject itself. History was also her subject, and she proceeded without any kind of confusion in her head. She proceeded with her subject in history. Now the thing is that today also we have the final scores, which I would like to share with you, how much she has scored. So in her final, she scored a total marks of 992, which is a great feat. In mains, she has scored 815. And in the interview, she has scored 177 marks. So this is everything that I need to share. I welcome her and I welcome Simran with a lot of love, respect and admiration. So please welcome Simran. Please, with a huge round of applause, lot of love and huge pride, I welcome Simran. She has scored rank 66, our own very own foundation student. So Simran scored rank 66 in her third attempt. She is an example of firm determination, hard work, and what consistency means. Simran, I would like to invite you here, please. And before we actually start the session, I would request our admirable and respected faculties also to come on stage and to felicitate our very own Simran. I welcome Shivi ma'am to please do the honors. A big round of applause for Shivi ma'am and Simran. So without any further delay, I would give the mic to Shriram. She would like to speak some words. Thank you.
So first of all, we would like to congratulate on behalf of VisionIAS family for your commendable effort. And you have just not, made only your parents proud. I think you have made proud to a lot of many aspirants, right? It's just not your personal milestone. It's an inspiration for many, right? So we, wish you all the best. You serve as a leader. You serve as a civil servant with full integrity, compassion, and whatever values you have learned from the class, ethics, right? You may follow it, right? So,
please welcome Ram Sudhir sir for the felicitation on the stage. Please, big round of applause. And And next, I would like to welcome our very own Ravi sir on the stage. Sir is very famous for his vigor and energy, as all the students must be knowing. Sir, would you?
Especially congratulations to Simran. And I'm very sure it's a very a great moment for the VisionIAS. Like classroom students even qualified it. And I'm very sure it's a great motivation for all the girls especially. Because for the girls it is very important to be in the service. And a lot of things have to do especially for girls in this job because they emotionally connected with the families, and even whenever they will be in this profession, they definitely don't know very well what kind of problem even they have faced in their own life. It will be definitely very fruitful for the next generation of the students. So my wish with Simran always, and I hope as a star we will see in day-to-day life, even in coming future in the newspaper articles, and it will be very proud for we all us. Thank you. Congratulations.
Simran, the stage is yours. Please begin.
Hello everyone. As you know by now, my name is Simran. It was my third attempt, and in my first two attempts, I could not clear prelims, and that too not by 5, 10, any like close marks. I did not clear it by a huge margin. So in my initial talk, I will talk about this phase of mine and also how you should be dividing the year in terms of your preparation. And then I will talk about the specific stages like prelims, mains, interview. And after my opinion, then I will take questions from you. Is that okay with everyone? So as I said, I could not clear prelims. So I feel that I was not very honest with my preparation. And I was a topper since 12th. I have actually repeated this many times, but I'll say it again. So I actually was not aware whether I myself want to do UPSC or not. So when you are a topper, that from humanities, so it is assumed that you are made for UPSC. So I took it as some sort of burden on me that I have to clear it. It is something very difficult. पता नहीं कितने घंटे पढ़ना होता है, पता नहीं सब हर चीज़ से आपने आपको दूर कर दो, ये वो. तो इस चीज़ की जो एक I used to see it as a very dark space, which I completely changed in myself in my third attempt. I tried to understand every stage. I tried to understand what prelims means, what the syllabus of prelims means, how mains is important for me, why are we talking about science and technology in mains, why governance is important. Every question, I tried to see that question as an administrator, as a problem that is given to me as a DM, and how am I supposed to solve it. I will solve it if I know what the problem is, why the problem is, what the solutions could be. So that was my perspective for the whole exam preparation in the last 1 year. So as I'll start with prelims. In prelims we have two papers, GS and CSAT. For GS, since you know I am a foundation course student, I largely relied on my foundation notes only for every subject. So for polity, we were taught by Ashish sir. He taught us brilliantly, but I also refer to Lakshmikant for my polity revision, and I read it multiple times. I don't even remember how many times, but you do not need to read it page by page, word by word. Just try to read it once or twice thoroughly and then memorize it. And afterwards, only pick those topics or those chapters which you feel are difficult. So for me, center-state relations were difficult, so I used to read it multiple times in every revision. But for like the first part is quite easy, so you can just recall it in fastly. So you do not need to go through every word of it. So afterwards, second is economy. For economy, I built my base from Aditya Kalia sir's classes. The conceptual understanding was from there. Then for science and technology, Science and technology, I did the basics from VisionIAS Foundation Course, but I added to it PT 365 and also Mains 365. Then we have history. My optional is history, so I did not read much from the foundation course notes. I relied on my optional notes only. Then we have what is left? Geography. For geography, Harsh sir taught us, and he taught in great detail. I would say that I did not even refer to NCRT much, though I read it for the formality, but sir taught it brilliantly, so I completely relied on that. And then the sixth subject is environment. That too, more or less, is from current affairs. So PT 365 is very important for that. Then look into the species in use and likewise. But I think this question of species is also quite risky. You do not always know them. So I used to take a risk only if I am 50% sure that I can attempt the question. Afterwards, mock tests. So I was enrolled in Lakshya Prelims revision session. Lakshya Prelims revision course. Are you aware of that? So it is a prelims revision course that is started around December, and then there are multiple batches of it. So I took the one from January 9th, and we had our mentor, Prabhu Shukla sir, and he guided me a lot throughout my prelims preparation. Initially I was not attempting many MCQs and many tests. I was quite afraid of looking at the reality. So I mailed him, sir, that should I be attempting more questions, or what should I be doing? So he said that at least 5,000 MCQs you have to attempt before prelims. So afterwards I started giving tests every day. It may not be feasible for everyone, but as when you are closer to prelims, like now, for those who are going to give prelims this year, they should be giving tests by now, full length test every day. And if not every day, then every other day. Apart from that, the marks of mocks, I think it depends upon the quality of test. For example, if you have a test which has more number of basic questions and yet you are getting less marks, then the fault is in your preparation. If the test is in a way quite haywire, it's asking very questions which you yourself are aware are not like UPSC, so don't take those tests seriously. For that, PYQ is important. PYQ will guide you. So I'll give you an example. What happens in PYQ is that UPSC follows a trend, not a trend, UPSC will give you a pattern in questions. So there was a question on asteroids and comets. You must have looked into that question. So one statement was that comet is something which has a frozen tail. And the next statement was comets are found closer to sun. So both statements are contradictory. If it has frozen tail, it won't be much closer to the sun. If you are aware of one statement, you know that second one is wrong, and then third, you have to take a chance if you are not aware, and if you are aware, then good for you. So that is how try to see mocks, whether they are also following any pattern, whether they are also giving questions somewhat similar to what UPSC is giving. For that, PYQ is important. Am I talking too fast? Because I generally do talk fast. So afterwards, as I told you, Lakshya revision course was very helpful for me. See, the thing with me was that I was afraid of being inconsistent in my preparation. What happens is that you make plan, you decide that I will give test 2 weeks after studying this, and I knew that I would not be giving that test 2 weeks, it may be 3 weeks, and that would disturb the whole plan of my revision. So here I wanted to join any program which gives me a detailed plan, where I will have to take some sessions, will I give tests, where I will be knowing that if I'm skipping it, somebody else is attempting it. So that is why I joined it, and it immensely helped me. I've also recommended my friends to go for such programs, if not in Vision, anywhere you want to, which suits your strategy, your planning, because they also give you subject wise, polity first or maybe economy first, whatever suits you, go for it if you are afraid that you will be going to be inconsistent. Otherwise, if you are sure of your preparation, then you do not need that. Then for note making, I am not much into making notes. I made notes of my classes very difficultly, so I relied on them only. I tried making short notes for Lakshmikant, for the last minute revision. After making them, I did not see them again. And for me, Lakshmikant was the only source. I read it again. If I have to read it like the day before exam, I will read the book only. Because what happens is that when you see a source, you become so familiar with it that you know what is going to come to the next page. So अगेन नए नए सोर्सेज बनाने से कोई फायदा नहीं होता, आप उससे फेमिलियर ही नहीं हो, फिर आपको हर बार लगेगा कि कुछ नया पढ़ रहे हैं. एंड आई टेल यू व्हाट, आई बॉट लक्ष्मीकांत वे बैक एंड इट इज 4th edition which is with me.
Looking for expert mentoring to crack UPSC? Lakshya Mentoring Program is your answer, a personalized, expert-led path from preparation to performance. If you are targeting Prelims 2025, here is what is in store with batch starting from 14th March. One-on-one mentoring with UPSC experts. Tailor-made strategy to match your needs. Regular MCQ-based assessments, CSAT support. Access to live quiz, Sandhan personalized tests, Lakshya Prelims practice tests. Planning for the long game Prelims, Mains and Interview 2026? Lakshya Integrated Mentoring Program 2026 gives you a head start with batch starting from 15th March. Year-round mentoring support, structured preparation calendar. Prelims to interview coverage including GS, CSAT, ethics, essay, and personality test guidance. Regular evaluation, customized feedback, and adaptive planning. Regular group and one-on-one session with mentors. Integrated current affairs preparation with digital current affairs platform.
And I'm reading that only. I just add from the new editions that I find, but I cannot change the book. I could not, because I would feel that I don't know anything now, because it's a new book, even though everything is same. So it happens, it's a psychological thing which happened with me. Maybe somebody else would also agree to that. And then for current affairs, I completely relied on PT 365. Earlier I used to, in my 3rd attempt, I used to cover magazines also, month-wise. But in the end I found that very hectic to revise. I could not recall from that, because their mains is also there, prelims is also. Although you can segregate, but still I did not find it much helpful for me. So I then shifted to PTs. PTs were for me very fast to revise. I could easily revise from them, especially science and tech, environment, and polity. Yes, these were the major ones that I preferred, and I revised them multiple times. Afterwards, this was for GS mainly. Then we have CSAT. For CSAT, for me, CSAT was a bit difficult, not much, but yes, I could not clear either CSAT also in the first 2 attempts. So in this one, I took separate coaching for CSAT. Because the 2023 attempt was quite difficult, everybody knows that. Especially for me, I am from humanities background, so for me, I wanted to take separate coaching for that, and it helped me. For the mock that I gave, one thing which I did was suggested by my friend, was that in the mocks that are available in the market of different coaching, what happens is that their English comprehension is quite easy compared to what UPSC gives you. UPSC somehow is able to make such paragraphs and options where you will be stuck in 2 options. And that will be difficult for you to decide. But what happens if you take a test from market or any coaching and you give that, you score very good because the English is quite easy. So you think that I am done with CSAT. So what we used to do is that we would take one test, any test you can take, because maths and reasoning is good with every coaching. So we would take one test, we would attempt maths and reasoning from that test, and we would then take any PYQ and attempt English comprehension questions from that PYQ only, and afterwards we would take the score and see where we stand. So there are also PDFs you will find where English comprehension questions are, they are compiled in one PDF. So from there you can manage this if you think that this can help you. This was my guide for prelims. Any questions if you have?
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, ma'am, my question is, what was your pattern of solving questions in prelims? What was your approach to solve the questions?
There was no specific approach. I started from the first question only, and then in mocks I used to solve the paper within an hour. I used to solve it, but in the main exam it did not happen like that. It took me 2 hours complete to solve it and then to fill the OMR sheet. So I found that in mains I felt that time is very less. So practice that in mock. Even if you are completing the paper in 1 hour, try to do it in 2 hours only.
And what about CSAT, ma'am?
CSAT तो 2 घंटे लगते ही हैं उसमें तो मेरा ये रहता था कि मैं इंग्लिश कॉम्प्रिहेंशन अच्छा कर सकती थी, तो मैं बैलेंस रखती थी मैथ्स और इंग्लिश कॉम्प्रिहेंशन में. I did not follow it, but one of the toppers said that he would attempt English first, because if you go for maths and then you are stuck. You are trying to solve a question. You will feel that okay, I'll solve it. In some time I'll solve it. Then you will move to next, and in this way you will waste much time of yours. So go with English first and then maths. This can be one way of doing CSAT paper. I used to I would not say I used to do one thing first and then next, but my goal was to complete English part in either 30 to 45 minutes. After that it was maths. So how many number of questions I could solve, then I would solve. And मेरा target ये था कि मुझे 45 to 50 तक करने हैं, और हुआ भी यही कि 2 घंटे में उतने ही मुझसे हो पाए, उसके बाद मैंने किए भी नहीं. तो I was confident that इतने में हो जाएगा.
So, ma'am, did you follow any newspaper for prelims?
Not for prelims, only PT 365.
Okay, and for mains?
Yes, for mains, I'm coming to that, so I'll tell you that. I followed one newspaper for second attempt, but it was not of much utility for prelims. Then for mains, as you know, I scored 815. Even I am right now sinking in that feeling. So what happened with me for mains was I had to tell you the year-long division. I forgot that. So what I did after my second attempt, I remade my optional notes for 3 months. In June, July, August. By August, I also picked up GS revision and preparation. I had my foundation course notes of GS with me, and I relied hugely on them only. For example, for governance, for security, ethics, we had notes of Smriti ma'am, Jatin sir, and one more sir, I'm forgetting his name. So they compiled very vast and very detailed notes that are enough. But I added second ARC to that. Very limited but effective to quote that second ARC has mentioned this, that in your introduction or in your conclusions. So that I did till September to October. And then I also side by side started answer writing. Answer writing I also used to do during the foundation course where you have your daily assignments. So I had the structure prepared in my mind that this is how I am going to do. Although the structure is quite simple, you all know, introduction, body, conclusion. Yet while attempting, we tend to kind of diverge from that. So, can I continue? Yes. So I started answer writing practice in November, December. And to be honest, I did not do much practice. I did not took many tests. I had one test that was also of I think 150 marks, and I took 2 to 3 hours to complete it. And it was I was just not I felt like मुझे वो टेस्ट तो नहीं देने अभी मैं प्रैक्टिस ही करूँगी. तो जैसे मार्केट में रजिस्टर्स आते हैं वो UPSC के आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस के, तो एक रजिस्टर मैंने भरा था, वो GS और ऑप्शनल दोनों का मिक्स उसमें था. 5 क्वेश्चन GS, 5 ऑप्शनल फ्रॉम PYQ only. That much answer writing practice I did before prelims, till December. Afterwards I shifted to prelims only because I was not clearing it for 2 attempts. Then wait a minute. Then after prelims I had earlier joined a test series. So after prelims I completed that. So there were 30 to 35 tests. I could give 30 tests after prelims. So after prelims it was quite hectic because I had not practiced much before that. So I would target myself. I would decide that this GS1, this much syllabus I have to do by this date, and then I would give the test. So one thing that I followed during my mains preparation, and I also mentioned it in other appearances of mine is that I try to learn my mistakes as much as possible. And I had this thinking in my mind, whatever feedback I'm getting in this test, it is good, but I should not be getting the same one in the next. In the next, there should be another mistake of mine should be highlighted in my answers. So, but still, there was one thing which was repeated again and again, which was that you lack data and you lack facts and you lack committees' names and all that. Before mains was on 20th September. 2 weeks before that, I gave simulator mock for 2 weeks. So what I used to do was I would give GS 1 and 2 in one day and then 3 and 4 on the next day. Even in those tests, I got the same feedback that enrich it more with data and facts. So in the last week, I was revising the syllabus again, and then it hit me that what is the point of revising it? I'm getting this that you do not have data, you do not have facts. So I then shifted to just compiling data and facts as much as possible, because there are some data that you can use in not just in same data in different subjects, also or in different papers also. So for example, women-related data or forest-related data or agriculture specifically, that 90% of farmers, they do not have, they have like उनका मतलब वो लैंड बहुत डिस्पर्स्ड है, तो इस वजह से वो उसको कलेक्ट नहीं कर सकते, डेवलपमेंट नहीं हो सकती. तो इस तरीके के डाटा आपको सोसाइटी में भी काम आ सकते हैं, आपको GS3 में तो आएंगे ही. अदर एस्पेक्ट्स ऑल्सो यू कैन कवर इफ़ यू आर क्विक टू सॉल्व दैट ड्यूरिंग द एग्जाम. सो लास्ट वीक में मैंने सिर्फ ये किया, मैंने डाटा और फैक्ट्स को कंपाइल किया. एग्ज़ाम से पहले जो भी टाइम होता था, 1 घंटा मिलता है, जैसे GS1 के बाद आपको 2 घंटे का ब्रेक आई थिंक मिलता है, तो उसमें मैं बस वो डाटा और फैक्ट ही पढ़ती रहती थी. और एग्जाम में फिर मेरे साथ ये हुआ कि GS2 एंड GS3 आई डोंट नो हाउ मच आई स्कोर्ड. मार्कशीट इज़ नॉट रिलीज येट, बट उनमें मैंने जितना हो सके डाटा, फैक्ट और डायग्राम्स, anything. As soon as we got the question paper, I just read the question and I wrote data. So I filled those papers with my data and fact only. So that is how till the last leg I learned from my mistakes and tried not to repeat them. As we go from GS wise, for GS1 I had my optional history. So for that I did not do anything different. So for GS1, I did not do anything different for history. I relied on my optional notes only. For society, we have Smriti ma'am. So you do not need to go anywhere else if you have Smriti ma'am. And then other subjects, post-independence also was in my optional. Geography from foundation course notes and world history from my optional only. Then for GS2, the thing with GS2 is that since Lakshmikant is so factual, you find that how to answer these long format questions. I relied more on the mains 365. And then to understand the nature of question. The question, what is it, why, what is it asking from me, and then practically applying it on ground. If there is a question about governance, it is highlighting some problems, then think practically. कि अगर ये एक टॉपिक है, इसका ग्राउंड लेवल पे ये प्रॉब्लम्स क्या हो सकती हैं, आप अपनी तरफ से सोचिए. बिकॉज व्हेन यू ऐड दिस पर्सनल टचेस टू आंसर्स, देन इट अपील टू द एग्जामिनर्स. आई फील दैट दिस इज समथिंग विच माइट हैव मेड माई आंसर्स डिफरेंट. तो अपनी तरफ से कुछ ना कुछ ऐड करने की कोशिश करिए. देन फॉर I relied mostly on foundation notes for GS2 also. As I said, I added ARC2 to it. And in my last week, I also I made a list of committees. I made a list of amendments from Lakshmikant only. Then important articles, so to quote it anywhere and everywhere possible. Then for science and technology, mains 365 and also the practical approach. But yet there will be some questions from science and technology जो वो एकदम से पूछ लेते हैं. उसका हमें भी पता नहीं होता कि इसका क्या आंसर होगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इस साल के में था कि कोई 3 टेक्नोलॉजीज बताइए जिसे पानी प्योरीफाई करने की. तो नहीं मुझे समझ आया, मैंने 2 जो मुझे आई लिख दी एंड देन आई एंडेड द आंसर. सो जितना हो सके आप कंप्लीट करने की कोशिश कीजिए. कुछ ना कुछ तो रहेगा ही हर एक पेपर में, हर एक उसमें कि ये नहीं आता, बट ट्राई टू कंप्लीट इट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन GS1 देयर वाज दिस क्वेश्चन अबाउट ट्विस्टर्स. Now everybody must be knowing about twisters, but in paper I was confused, what is this? But yet I made some diagram and wrote something about the temperature and this, I don't remember that now, but I tried to fill 1 or 2 pages of it. Then for GS4, I relied mostly on Smriti ma'am's notes and Jatin sir. Jatin sir also taught us ethics in our batch. So the notes were filled with examples. From my side, I added examples from, there is one source, I'll tell you, UPSC Essentials, Indian Express magazine. Although you do not need to thoroughly go through it, but उनका एक होता है एथिक्स का, उसमें पोर्शन होता है, किसी एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर को वो लोग कवर करते हैं, वो लोग अवार्ड भी देते हैं, गुड गवर्नेंस के अवार्ड्स, तो वहाँ से कुछ एग्जांपल्स आप लोग ले सकते हो. अदर देन दैट, फॉर एग्जांपल्स फॉर मेंस आई रिलाइड मोस्टली ऑन newspaper. So wait just a minute. I read the Indian Express newspaper. In Indian Express, in the editorial pages, there is one pillar form of editorials. 3 editorials are given there. The third one is almost always something creative, which can give you examples. So for example, I'll tell you, there was a news about some burglar trying to rob a poet. And that poet was known for writing poems for downtrodden or such sections of our society. And the poet was a fan of the burglar was a fan of that poet. When he came to know that I am in this poet's house, he not only returned whatever he had stolen, but also wrote a sorry note. And this was one example that was written in that column of Indian Express. And then I am forgetting that essay title, but there was a title with the somewhat similar connotations. So this example could be a very brilliant introduction for your essay. So these are some examples I used to pick from Indian Express, that pillar form of newspaper in the third column. I'm unable to explain that clearly, but I think you have got my point. Apart from that, an explained page is very important. You can get examples from that page as well. And then for current affairs, Mains 365 only for all the papers. Mains 365, I try to keep my sources as much limited as possible, because you cannot cover everything in 3 months. And this time the time is even less for those who will be giving prelims this time. And multiple revisions are then going to be impossible for you if you have many sources at your hands. So I would say stick to one source. Try to think practically, try to think what can be the ground level implications of that. Try to think your real life examples that you see around you, and then write your answers. Practice as much as possible before prelims, but in the duration of your prelims preparation, you are going to, वो एक लैग तो आएगा ही आपकी राइटिंग में, आपकी स्पीड में. फिर जब आप दोबारा पिक करोगे तो आपको लगेगा कि ये तो लिखा नहीं जा रहा है. मेन आपकी जो मेंस की प्रिपरेशन होगी वो होगी प्रीलिम्स के बाद. तो उस टाइम को आपको जितना अच्छा जो यूटिलाइज करेगा ना, उसका उतना ही अच्छा उसके स्कोर होंगे. मैं खुद बहुत अंडर मोटिवेटेड सी रहती थी अपने उस फेज़ के दौरान. आई हैव अ वेरी क्लोज फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन हु कुड नॉट क्लियर, but he used to tell me कि if you are going to utilize this time, then you will clear it, don't worry about it, because I had not done any answer writing practice before prelims as many of other toppers might have done. So this helped me a lot. Then for essay paper, I always used to start my essay with some story. It used to be from history only most of the time. It is my optional. It is one of the advantage of history optional that you can get numerous story which can suit any your essay topics, any your essay titles. And for my main paper that I attempted in the UPSC 2024 examination, there also I attempted the 2 essay. I started with the story, then one paragraph which would be like connecting paragraph, a summary of what I have said in the story, and then how am I going to connect that to the topic of my essay. Then I used to follow the approach of what, why, how, likewise. So what is my topic, I would explain that, why it is important, and then how it is going to affect us, and lastly ek uska opposite side. So if they are saying that इस किसी को वो टाइटल पता है इस बार कैसे का? साइंटिस्ट से रिलेटेड, द रैशनल मैन समथिंग. आई रोट essay on that title. So the rational scientist is let's take this example. Scientist is a rational man. If that is your title, you would explain it in 70% of your percent of your essay that scientist is a rational man, and then you would give 30% no 20% of your essay to say that no, not always scientist is a rational man. So and then you would conclude with a summary of the whole of your essay. So this is the approach that I largely followed in my mock. I would say that I was not getting exceptional marks, neither in my prelims mocks, nor in my mains mock. My marks used to range from 90 to 100 in GS, and from I think 110 was the highest I got in my essay. So my performance, I think, was more or less average or above average, but the thing which helped me was this performance was same across all the papers. So for some people, they are very exceptional in GS, but they lack in optional. Then they are very good at GS4, then they blunder in GS1, 2, 3. So these things can happen, but helped me was that it was a average performance across every paper, including interview as well. Then as I said, think like civil servant. This will help you the most, and this I recommend to anybody who would ask me about mains or how to attempt the question. Just think like that, and once you get into this cycle, you will ये इतना टाइम नहीं लगेगा कि भाई इसको स्ट्रक्चर कैसे करूँ, क्या लिखूँ, कुछ नहीं. आप बहुत ही स्पीड से वो चीज़ कर पाओगे. Wherever you are stuck कि 3 पॉइंट हो गए हैं, अब इसको 4th और 5th में कैसे लिखूँ, वहाँ पर ट्राई टू थिंक लाइक अ सिविल सर्वेंट. द ग्राउंड रियलिटीज, हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू सॉल्व इट देन एंड देयर. As for optional, my optional was history. So I am a graduate in history honors, and then I also did masters in history. So more or less my basics were strong for history, yet I used self-study history, if anybody is aware of that, if you have a history optional. So I used self-study history for notes. In my first and second attempt, I was reading from basic books like Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, Upinder Singh and all. But in my third attempt, I shifted to self-study history only, because there are many topics in UPSC syllabus which are very specific. And in this exam, they also ask specific questions for regional kingdoms. So in that platform, these kind of specificities are completely covered. Is there anybody here who has history optional? Okay, so for mapping, I relied on self-study history only, but I would warn you that their mapping thing that I found in that on that platform, and the maps that I got in the main exam were not much but very different. So what is happening right now is that UPSC is asking very specific sites. So earlier it used to be like they would point a place and they would say a Neolithic site. तो आपको वहाँ पे 3 न्यूलिथिक साइट्स आपको पता है, आपको एक लिख दीजिए, कहीं ना कहीं वो लगेगा कि एक तो मिल ही जाएगी. बट नाउ यूपीएससी इज आस्किंग कि वो न्यूलिथिक साइट जहाँ पर ये आर्टिफैक्ट मिला है, तो यू हैव टू बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक विद दैट, क्योंकि उसका आंसर अब उनके पास है. वो ईदर दिस और दैट वाली सिचुएशन नहीं है. सेल्फ स्टडी हिस्ट्री के मैप्स का मुझे थोड़ा ये लगा कि उनको अपडेट करने की ज़रूरत है. आई हैव ऑल्सो गिवन द सेम फीडबैक टू द प्लेटफॉर्म. आई relied on them only, but I found that I should have done a bit more on my own as well. So I hope they take it as a positive feedback, and also, but you can use that. It is a very good source for covering your basics, and then add on it on your own from current affairs as well, and then use your basic notes of ancient, medieval, and see if there is any site mentioned in that, if there is any specific feature of that site mentioned in your notes. So mark it then and there, and then practice it. As for time allocation, I used to read my optional for 3 to 4 hours. Attempting test was very important for me. I used to attempt test very schedule wise. I did not take any revision course for mains like I did for prelims, and I was a bit afraid that maybe I would not be able to be consistent. But एक बार prelims हो जाता है ना, तो फिर वो खुद ही होती है, consistency, वो सब कुछ आपको आ जाएगा, और you will give your test on time only. And simulator mocks, as I said, I gave 2 simulator mocks to simulate the environment that you would be facing in the mains exam. So I gave GS 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. I have also heard from toppers that they give 3 papers in one day. GS1 or optional, any GS, optional and an essay. So to tire themselves so much that they would feel that दो paper तो easy ही है लिखने. But I could not do that, I did not do that. But it's fine, if you want to, you can. Any questions from this much or mains?
Most UPSC aspirants fail before they even begin. Here's how you avoid that. The mistake: they jump into preparation without a roadmap, a mentor, or a clear strategy. At VisionIAS Delhi, we help you build your UPSC foundation the right way from day one. Get structured coverage, prelims, mains, CSAT and essay, all broken down step by step so nothing feels overwhelming. Smart current affairs with PT 365 and Mains 365. You focus only on what truly matters, no fluff. Personal mentorship, real one-on-one guidance to help you fix weak areas and boost what you're already good at. Test plus feedback loop, regular tests with detailed feedback so you never lose track of your progress. Don't start blind, start smart with VisionIAS Delhi. This is where your serious UPSC journey begins.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. First of all, I would like to congratulate you.
Thank you.
Many congratulations, ma'am, for the milestone you have achieved. Ma'am, I would like to ask about your optional. Ma'am, since it's a very vast syllabus, like we prepare notes on GS history. It's like very specific. We have to mark kingdoms, wars, date, and that's all. But in optional, we have to very critical on some things, like how your approach you will proceed with that question. Like how did you prepared with that? As you said, by the third attempt you have prepared by your self study. So did you make any specific notes, and
Yes, I
like
did.
how did you did that? I exactly want to know that.
Your optional is history.
Yes, I'm trying, ma'am.
Huh. So for self-study history, their notes are very vast. So I made concise notes from that platform for every part, ancient, medieval, modern, not for world history. For that I refer to the book Jain and Mathur. And also there is a channel Crash Course by the name of Crash Course only. It is a channel of US based channel. So उनकी playlist है world history पे. एंड इट इज़ अ वेरी फन प्ले लिस्ट. वो थोड़ा फ़नी तरीके से वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री को कवर करते हैं. यू हैव ऑल्सो एनिमेशंस देयर, तो आपको एग्जाम्पल्स भी मिलते हैं, आपको थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है वो वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री का पूरा फेज पढ़ना. तो वो 2 चीज़ मैंने की थी, बुक और वो क्रैश कोर्स से वो कोर्स किया था पूरा. 50 एपिसोड्स हैं उनके 10 मिनट्स के. Then for notes, I made, as I said, June, July, August, I made separate notes from self-study. And then I re-revised them only. And for the difference that you are talking about in GS and optional answers, I did not take that seriously. I only prepared with optional mindset. I used to think that if I am writing optional level questions in GS, it may fetch me a bit more marks, maybe. So that I did.
Thank you, ma'am.
And yes. Okay.
I just wanted to know your strategy for history optional.
And you also said that there is a vast syllabus,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
is true. I did not feel that before mains. So when I wrote my first leg of mains, the GS part, and after that you have 1 week to prepare for your optional and also language paper. Most of the time people leave the language paper for that phase only because it's not that difficult. I did the same, and it was in that week that I felt how vast my optional is, because I could not revise it completely. Then I felt that the strategy should be, you should make your notes first, then revise it, then again mark those topics which you feel are difficult. So for example, for me the regional kingdoms was very difficult. I used to get confused every time, and I'm very sure that I've written one question wrong. It was either about Pallavas, I must have written about Pandyas, or vice versa. So this used to confuse me every time, and that is so your strategy should be, your strategy should be that to identify difficult topics and revise them properly. Other you should recall. The syllabus is vast, but then
Ma'am, also like, can you tell about the any YouTube channel with like pictorial representation?
as I said, this crash course, it is a very good source. But other than that, for Indian history, there is no such YouTube channel. I also was feeling a gap for that. But Epic TV is a good source. उनकी कुछ कुछ प्लेलिस्ट हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल ट्रैवलर्स पे, रूलर्स पे, रीजनल किंगडम्स पे, यू कैन वॉच दैम, इंटरेस्टिंग भी होती हैं, तो ये चीज़ आप कर सकते हो. फॉर द यूट्यूब थिंग आई वुड से दैट I was preparing for prelims now before the results, so I was a bit bored of the syllabus, reading it again and again. So I then refer to YouTube and internet a lot. So to build that memory, to see things happening in front of me. So इससे बोरियत भी कम होती थी, थोड़ा कुछ सीखने को भी मिलता था, and then you would also know about the practical application of what you are reading. तो उससे आपकी ओवरऑल थिंकिंग ही इम्प्रूव होगी. तो ये चीज़ आप कर सकते हो. थोड़ा सा जब आपको लगे कि यू आर नॉट एबल टू स्टडी फॉर दैट लॉन्ग, देन ट्राई टू इनकॉर्पोरेट एंटरटेनमेंट इन योर स्टडी. But for the entertainment time that you have, don't incorporate study in that. Keep that for yourself only. So this was for mains. Any other questions? Yes.
मैम आपकी रिवीजन स्ट्रेटजी क्या होती थी? जैसे ऑप्शनल भी पढ़ना होता है, जीएस भी होता है, करंट अफेयर भी होता है, तो उसको कैसे रिवीजन करना, वो बहुत हैक्टिक हो जाता है एक टाइम के बाद. तो आपकी वो स्ट्रेटजी क्या रहती थी? कितने टाइम बाद क्या रिवाइज करना है?
एक्चुअली व्हाट यूज्ड टू हैपन क्या कि मैंने मेंस की लार्जली मैंने प्रिपरेशन प्रीलिम्स के बाद ही की थी. तो मेरे लिए एक बार सिलेबस कंप्लीट करना ही थोड़ा मुश्किल हो गया था 3 महीनों में. एक पॉइंट के बाद फॉर एग्जांपल 50% टाइम जब आपका चला जाता है, एटलीस्ट आप 50% सिलेबस कर चुके होते हो, तो और आप आंसर राइटिंग भी साथ के साथ कर रहे हो, तो एक आपकी हैबिट बन जाती है कि आप कोई भी क्वेश्चन देखोगे कुछ तो लिख दोगे. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि ब्लैंक उसको छोड़ोगे. शुरुआत में होता है ऐसा कि भाई नहीं लिखा जा रहा है, क्या होगा कैसे होगा, बट एक पॉइंट के बाद आप लिख दोगे. रिवीजन आप आंसर राइटिंग के थ्रू कर सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू हैव कंप्लीटेड सोसाइटी, इट्स बिन लाइक 1 month आफ्टर कंप्लीटिंग सोसाइटी, ट्राई टू इनकॉर्पोरेट सोसाइटी क्वेश्चंस ऑल्सो इन योर डेली आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस. इफ यू आर फीलिंग कि मुझे यहाँ इन टॉपिक्स पे थोड़ी रिकॉल नहीं हो पा रहा है, कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, देन रिविजिट दोज पार्ट्स ऑफ योर नोट्स. इट विल नॉट टेक मच टाइम. ये हमें लगता है कि फिर से हमें वो पढ़ना पड़ेगा. आप एक बार जब एक चीज़ को पढ़ लेते हो ना, नेक्स्ट टाइम आपको 50% लेस टाइम लगता है उसको करने में. तो इतनी वो प्रॉब्लम वाली बात नहीं होती है. पर ये है ऑप्शनल की रिवीजन के लिए. आई वॉज ऑल्सो प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर UGC नेट साइड बाई साइड. सो वेन एवर आई हैड द पेपर इन जून और दिसंबर, आई यूज्ड टू रिवाइज ऑल माई नोट्स irrespective of what आई एम डूइंग इन माई UPSC प्रिपरेशन. सो वहाँ पे थोड़ी रिवीजन हो जाती थी. और फिर मेरी बैकग्राउंड भी है ना, हिस्ट्री, पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन भी करी है, तो कहीं ना कहीं ऐसा होता था कि कुछ क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, लिखा तो जाएगा, क्या होगा वो कैसे होगा, पर लिख दिया जाएगा उसको.
मैम प्री में इन्वायरमेंट के लिए आपका क्या अप्रोच था? उस सब्जेक्ट को कैसे अप्रोच किया?
ट्रिकी होता है थोड़ा आजकल तो कुछ ज़्यादा ही. मेरे साथ ये होता था कि जो जैसे स्पीशीज़ हैं, बीट एनिमल्स और प्लांट्स, मैं स्किप कर देती थी ज़्यादातर, क्योंकि अगर आपका नहीं बन रहा है ना, वो लॉजिक आपको नहीं समझ आ रहा है, गोल्डन मशीर आपको नहीं पता है मशीर का, तो फिर आप नहीं कर सकते उसको. तुक्के का कोई वो उसमें स्कोप नहीं है. इफ़ पॉसिबल, अगर कहीं भी 50% जहाँ मुझे लगता था चांस कि ये क्वेश्चन अटैम्प्ट कर सकती हूँ, वहाँ मैं करती थी. रिवीजन के लिए व्हाट आई डिड वाज, अर्लियर वो फाउंडेशन बैच के ही मैं नोट्स पढ़ रही थी, बिकॉज आई फेल्ट दैट कि थोड़ा सा ये सब्जेक्ट ऐसा है कि इसके क्वेश्चंस किसी भी डायरेक्शन से आ रहे हैं, तो इसके लिए शायद अपने आप को थोड़ा ब्रॉड करना होगा, शायद थोड़ा सोर्स को इम्प्रूव करना होगा. बट ओवरऑल इतनी कुछ खास मुझे वो नहीं हुआ कि भाई एकदम ट्रिमेंडस चेंज आ रहा है आपके अटैम्प्ट करने में. इन्वायरमेंट के क्वेश्चंस, वो पेपर पे ही डिपेंड करता है, वो लोग कैसे क्वेश्चन उसमें इंक्लूड करते हैं। आपका हिट कर जाए, आपको स्पीशीज़ याद आ जाए या फिर आपको वो एरिया याद आ जाए, तो वो उस पर ही रहता है। बट हाँ, ये कुछ चीज़ें होते हैं जो आपको करनी चाहिए। फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे नेशनल पार्क्स हो गए, बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व्स, इनको थोड़ा ना पिक्टोरियली, जैसे गूगल अर्थ का यूज़ कर सकते हैं। मैं बहुत करती थी गूगल अर्थ, और भी कोई अदर सोर्सेज, मैप्स, इन सबको देख देख कर जब आप करेंगे ना, तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जो आपने पढ़ा है उस पर क्वेश्चन आएगा। एटलीस्ट पेरिफेरल नॉलेज बिल्ड होगी कि एक ऑप्शन तो एलिमिनेट होगा आपका, तो वो चीज़ होगी। ये बेसिक्स जो है ना, वो स्ट्रॉन्ग करने इसलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, ताकि आप पेरिफेरल नॉलेज तो अपनी बिल्ड कर सकें। तो इन्वायरमेंट के लिए भी मेरा यही था। बेसिक्स मैं हमेशा रिवाइज करती थी, अगेन एंड अगेन रिवाइज करती थी। बट हाँ, कुछ बाउंसर्स तो इन्वायरमेंट में आते ही हैं, तो वो मैं स्किप कर देती थी अगर बिल्कुल मेरे हाथ से बाहर है चीज़ तो। थैंक यू, थैंक यू। IR के लिए for prelims, I refer to PT 365 only. I had my class notes, but I did not have time to read those. They were very vast. 25 classes के notes थे वो, तो for prelims only PT 365. IR पर्सनली मेरे लिए एक इंटरेस्टिंग स्फेयर है। मैं यूट्यूब पे या खुद से भी बहुत रिसर्च करती रहती हूँ। वर्ल्ड पेज जो होता है न्यूज़पेपर का, सबसे मेरा फेवरेट पेज है, और मेरी प्रेफरेंस भी IFSC है फर्स्ट चॉइस की। सो उसके लिए मैंने प्रीलिम्स में तो मेरा हो जाता था PT 365 से ही, बिकॉज क्वेश्चंस ऐसे आते थे। फॉर मी इट वाज इजी टू एलिमिनेट ऑप्शंस। फॉर मेंस आई देन रेड माय नोट्स of foundation batch, and then through that I prepared it. But questions जो UPSC के होते हैं वो IR के करंट अफेयर्स से रिलेटेड ही होते हैं, तो उसमें न्यूज़पेपर का काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल है। न्यूज़पेपर से जो आपको एग्जांपल्स मिल रहे हैं आप वो मेंशन कर सकते हैं। जैसे मॉरिशस पे शायद इस बार क्वेश्चन था, सॉरी मालदीव्स पे क्वेश्चन था शायद, तो वो हालांकि मालदीव्स वाज इन न्यूज़, but the perspective from which we were viewing Maldives, that we have a conflict, UPSC asked a completely different perspective about cooperation between India and Maldives. So you have to cover that topic on whole, जो भी आपका करंट में चल रहा है, तो ऐसे इस तरीके से ही IR किया था।
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, my question is how to prepare world history from GS perspective, as there are many books like class 10th, 9th, NCERT, as well as Arjun Dev Singh. So, ma'am, what to read from the GS perspective point of view for world history?
Start from NCERT. As I mentioned that playlist, you can also watch it. If you find it fruitful, then I think it will help you to enhance your some points of your answers. So apart from that, from GS perspective, actually I never saw these subjects from GS perspective. All my optional subjects were optional for me, whether they are in GS or in optional. World history also, I read Jain and Mathur book. I am not aware of what other sources are there, so I never read NCERT. So for somebody who has no knowledge of world history, starting from NCERT is a good point. Afterwards, you can yourself explore some sources that you think are suitable to you. So I would not be able to suggest from a GS perspective specifically.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, how it is challenging to choose another subject that which really not belongs to your graduation subject?
Then I think go through the syllabus first. See if it suits you, if there is anything that interests you, क्योंकि आपको वो पढ़ना है, बहुत डिटेल में पढ़ना है। ऑप्शनल के मार्क्स GS के मार्क्स से थोड़े अलग होते हैं, ये मुझे भी तभी रियलाइज हुआ जब मैं मेंस की प्रिपरेशन कर रही थी। यू गेट more marks in optional than in your GS for writing same number of questions. So you have to be very good with your optional. तो ऐसा ऑप्शनल चूज करना इंपॉर्टेंट है जो जिसमें कुछ तो हो, जो आपको पढ़ने का मन करे उसे। बिल्कुल ही डिफरेंट अगर आप ले लेते हैं और आपको कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा, उसका आपको मन ही नहीं कर रहा उसको विजिट करने का, तो फिर स्कोरिंग तो नहीं हो पाएगा ना वो। तो आप कर सकते हैं। देयर आर सो मेनी टॉपर्स हु डू सब्जेक्ट्स विच आर कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट फ्रॉम देयर फील्ड, सो देयर समथिंग दैट शुड अपील टू यू इन दैट सब्जेक्ट।
और बिगिनिंग फेज में मैम होता है कि मतलब खुद पे लगता है कंफ्यूजन जैसा कि मतलब एक वास्ट सिलेबस का ऑप्शनल चूज करना, या फिर जैसे एंथ्रोपोलॉजी, सोशियोलॉजी, ये सब सब्जेक्ट है, उस सब सब्जेक्ट को चूज करना एज ए ऑप्शनल, तो क्या सही रहता है, क्या सही अप्रोच होता है कि मतलब किस सब्जेक्ट को हम चूज करें एज ए ऑप्शनल?
एक्चुअली वास्ट सिलेबस हर सब्जेक्ट का है। आप जब जीएस फाउंडेशन करते हैं तो आप हर सब्जेक्ट से थोड़े थोड़े फेमिलियर होते हैं, जो आपको सबसे अच्छा लगे उस टाइम पे आप उसको ऑप्शनल की तरह चूज कर सकते हैं। बट आई वुड सजेस्ट वन थिंग, डोंट डाइवर्ट योर सेल्फ मच कि थोड़ा टाइम के लिए एक ऑप्शनल पढ़ लिया फिर इसमें नहीं अच्छा लगा। डिसाइड बिफोर एंड देन जंप इनटू एनी ऑप्शनल, बट देन स्टिक टू इट। अगर वो आपको बिल्कुल ही ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं तो बिल्कुल फंस चुका हूँ इस सिचुएशन में, देन यू कैन शिफ्ट टू अनदर ऑप्शनल, बट पहले ही अपना डिसीजन बनाइए। तो उसके सिलेबस को आप देख सकते हैं, पीवाईक्यू को देख सकते हैं, आपको फिर रियलाइज हो जाएगा कि क्या मैं अटेम्प्ट कर सकता हूँ या नहीं।
थैंक यू मैम।
As I said, only self-study for this attempt. Self-study history, the website, not self-study.
गुड इवनिंग मैम। मैम मेरा ये डाउट है कि जो हमारा हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल का पेपर रहता है तो उसमें बेसिकली जो स्टैटिक क्वेश्चन होता है उसके अलावा क्या करंट टॉपिक्स भी पूछे जाते हैं?
नहीं, करंट टॉपिक्स नहीं पूछे जाते हैं, बट ट्रेंड में एक चेंज जो मैंने फील किया है कि पहले ब्रॉड टॉपिक्स पूछे जाते थे, या फिर फॉर एग्जांपल फॉर रीजनल किंगडम्स वो आपसे सिंपल क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं, बट दिस टाइम इवन फॉर भक्ति एंड सूफी सेंट्स एंड एवरीथिंग दे आर आस्किंग वेरी डिटेल्ड क्वेश्चन फॉर वेरी स्पेसिफिक पर्सनैलिटीज़। बट अच्छी बात यह है कि यू हैव ऑप्शंस टू चूज क्वेश्चन इन योर ऑप्शनल, तो आपको सारे क्वेश्चन नहीं अटेम्प्ट करने होते, तो वो आप अगर इंटेलिजेंटली यूटिलाइज करें। सो फॉर एग्जांपल फॉर मी आई वाज मोर कॉन्फिडेंट अबाउट मेडिवल देन एंशिएंट, but in paper I ended up attempting ancient more because the questions of medieval were so tricky. So there you cannot be कि भाई मुझे तो medieval पसंद है, वही अच्छा है, मैं यही करूँगा, भले ही इसमें कैसे भी क्वेश्चन है, वहाँ पर आपको वो इंटेलिजेंटली डिसाइड करना होगा।
मैम मेरा एक और डाउट था कि जो हमारे क्लास नोट्स रहते हैं उसमें मैम मेरे को बेसिकली जो प्री और जो मेंस के रहते हैं चीज़ें वो मेरे को डिस्टिंग्विश करने में थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्टी होता है, तो आप इसमें थोड़ा
सिलेबस को यूज़ करिए, आपको डिस्टिंग्विश अपने आप होगा। कुछ ही तो सब्जेक्ट्स हैं जो मेंस में लगे हैं, गवर्नेंस, सिक्योरिटी और कौन से सब्जेक्ट होंगे, एथिक्स, हाँ पूरा पेपर ही अलग है, एथिक्स, तो ये कुछ ही सब्जेक्ट है जो बिल्कुल अलग है, अदरवाइज एवरीथिंग इज सेम। बल्कि आप अगर प्रीलिम्स को बहुत अच्छे से प्रिपेयर करते हैं, यू कैन रिकॉल द आर्टिकल्स, यू कैन रिकॉल द अमेंडमेंट्स, देन इट कैन ग्रेटली हेल्प यू इन योर आंसर राइटिंग। तो वहाँ पर आप कहीं भी अगर एक स्टार लगा के लिख देंगे ना कि इस अमेंडमेंट से हुआ है, तो वो आपको वहीं पे कुछ ना कुछ पॉइंट्स आपके एनहांस हो जाएंगे। तो इसको ज़्यादा डिस्टिंग्विश करके मत देखिए, जोड़ के जब देखेंगे ना तो आपको चीज़ें लॉन्ग टर्म पर्सपेक्टिव से आसान लगेंगी।
ओके मैम, थैंक यू।
गुड इवनिंग मैम।
गुड इवनिंग। हाँ जी
मैम, इन करंट अफेयर्स वी आर कवरिंग डेली न्यूज़पेपर, सो नोट्स मेकिंग इज रिक्वायर्ड।
Notes making for me was important in main stage, and then afterwards I cleared mains, so I continued it for interview as well. See, newspaper is a good source, but you have to be very specific with what notes you are going to make from it, क्योंकि आप उसको पाइल अप नहीं कर सकते। मैं ये कोशिश करती थी कि मेरे पास इतनी छोटी नोटबुक होती थी कि उसका भी एक पेज से ज़्यादा ना हो एक न्यूज़पेपर से। कई बार होता था कि न्यूज़पेपर आपका काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है तो वो एक्सटेंड हो सकता है, और अगर आप कोई एग्जाम्पल भी ले रहे हैं तो उसकी बहुत लंबी स्टोरी मत लिखिए, थोड़ा बहुत जो आपको मतलब कुछ ऐसा लिखिए जिससे आपको याद आ जाए, क्योंकि आंसर्स में भी आप कोई स्टोरीज तो लिख नहीं सकते, एक एग्जाम्पल आपको बस थोड़ा सा ही तो मैंशन करना है ना। तो फोकस किया आप ये करिए कि एग्जाम्पल्स उठाएं, एनेक्डोट्स उठाएं, कुछ ऐसा फैक्ट उठाएं जो आपको हेल्प करे। और मैं तो ये कहूँगी, हाँ जी,
हाउ मच टाइम शुड वी गिव फॉर नोट्स मेकिंग?
5 to 10 मिनट्स। आप पढ़ रहे हैं, आपको कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट लगा, साथ के साथ लिख लिया। उसमें कुछ ऐसा नहीं है कि आप पढ़ के फिर उसको मार्क करेंगे, फिर स्पेसिफिकली उसके नोट्स बनाएंगे, दैट विल बी आई थिंक वेस्टिंग टाइम इंस्टेड ऑफ नोट मेकिंग। जल्दी जल्दी स्पीड रीडिंग करिए, जो इंपॉर्टेंट लगे 1-2 लाइन उसमें से आप निकालिए और लिखिए। आप जब अपने जीएस को अच्छे से पढ़ लेंगे ना तो आपको ये चीज़ भी आ जाएगी कि कैसे मुझे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ निकालनी है और फालतू चीज़ को छोड़ देना।
And ma'am, like data for the mains paper, you collected from only PT 365 and main 365.
I collected it from PT 365, mains, not PT, mains 365. देन फॉर एग्जांपल एज आई सेड अमेंडमेंट्स आर्टिकल्स वो लक्ष्मीकांत से, और अदर देन दैट आपके बेसिक नोट से भी आपको कई डेटा फैक्ट्स मिलते हैं, एग्जांपल्स मिलते हैं। स्मृति मैम जैसे एथिक्स के में स्मृति मैम्स ने इतने एग्जांपल्स लिखवाए हैं, तो अगर आप वो भी अच्छे से याद कर लेंगे ना तो आपको बहुत हेल्प मिलेगी। और उसको कोई ये नहीं है कि अगर एथिक्स के एग्जांपल्स हैं तो वो एथिक्स में ही यूज़ होंगे, एथिक्स के एग्जांपल्स एस्से में बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ होते हैं। तो उनको कोरिलेशन बिल्ड करने की जो है ना वो कोशिश करिए कि एक एग्जांपल को आप मल्टीपल कैसे यूज़ कर सकते हैं, एक ही फैक्ट को, एक ही डाटा को, वो आपका भी काम आसान करेगा और आपको हेल्प भी करेगा।
यस, थैंक यू।
हाँ जी।
गुड इवनिंग मैम। मैम इधर मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि स्टडी मटेरियल्स के लिए विजन आईएएस के जो नोट्स मिले हैं उस पर फुल्ली रिलाई कर सकते हैं या स्टैंडर्ड बुक पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा?
आप किसी एक चीज़ पर रिलाई कर सकते हैं, इधर स्टैंडर्ड बुक्स और स्टडी मटेरियल। उसको वहाँ पर आप मल्टीपल चीज़ें मत रखिए। वो अगर आपको स्टडी मटेरियल अच्छा लग रहा है तो फिर उस पर ही स्टिक करिए, उसमें तो बल्कि स्पेस भी होता है अपडेशन के लिए। तो अगर आपको कुछ नया लग रहा है तो आप वहाँ लिख सकते हैं। तो एक चीज़ चूज़ करिए, कोई भी चीज़ जो आपको सूट करे।
मोर एम्फेसिस किस पे दे, स्टैंडर्ड बुक पे या फिर विजन मटेरियल?
अगेन जो आपको सूट करे उसी पे एम्फेसिस दीजिए। मुझे कई जगह पे विजन मटेरियल, किसी सब्जेक्ट का विजन मटेरियल अच्छा लगता था तो मैं वो पढ़ लेती थी, किसी सब्जेक्ट की मुझे बेसिक बुक जैसे लक्ष्मीकांत है वही पढ़ती थी, तो ऐसे था।
थैंक यू मैम।
हेलो मैम।
हाँ जी,
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
Like, ma'am, I also have a background in history, and I have just started my preparation. So I have a doubt in history, especially like in my graduation, we have used to write a lot in answers. So like recently, when I have started my preparation, so in assignment question we have to within the word limits, right? Within the word limits, that is 150 words. So I find it very difficult to how to tackle this. Like,
for history optional specifically,
yes, ma'am.
if you are finding it difficult, then try to write answers in the beginning in essay form. You can write 1 or 2 answers. So for example, कोई क्वेश्चन है जिसका आपको बिल्कुल क्लियर आइडिया नहीं है, आप उसके 5-6 पॉइंट जनरेट नहीं कर सकते, तो उसको ऐसे फॉर्म में लिख दीजिए। और अगर जहाँ पर आपको लग रहा है कि मेरे पास कंटेंट बहुत ज़्यादा है, तो वहाँ पर भी आप अपने हर कंटेंट की एक एक लाइन को यूज़ करके ऐसे फॉर्म में लिख दीजिए, क्योंकि आपको थोड़ा सा वो टच रहेगा आपका ग्रेजुएशन से भी, और आप इसमें भी एंटर कर पाएंगे। बट इनिशियली ये प्रॉब्लम आती है। आप एक पॉइंट के बाद जब आप कुछ नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस प्रैक्टिस कर लेंगे, आप खुद उसके पॉइंट फॉर्मेट में बना के उसको प्रेजेंट करना आपको आ जाएगा। तो मेरे साथ भी सेम प्रॉब्लम होती थी। मेरा जो पहला आंसर मैंने विजन में लिखा था उसमें मुझे 2.5 या 3 नंबर ही मिले थे, फॉर द सेम रीज़न कि आई रोट इट इन एसे फॉर्मेट और वो वर्ड लिमिट ये वो, एंड आई वाज वेरी हार्ट ब्रोकन कि ये क्या हो गया पहले ही आंसर में। पर धीरे धीरे ही आती है, आपको हर चीज़ धीरे धीरे है, तो प्रैक्टिस इज़ की फॉर दिस।
Good evening, ma'am. What are the mistakes you have made in your first attempt as a beginner, and how you corrected those mistakes for your further attempt?
One important mistake, and I would say the most important mistake, was not being consistent. मेरे साथ यही होता था कि I used to study very good for 2-3 days and then not for a week or so. So I improved it in this attempt. One thing that I did for this attempt was that I used to make note of what I'm going to do today, and then I would also use my stopwatch, and by the end of the day I would used to send a picture of my completed task as well as my stopwatch to my friend, so as to make myself disciplined with this. So my phone is filled with such photos. For 1 year I have consistently sent those pictures, and that is why I would say that having a good peer group is also important for this journey. For me it helped really. So consistency was my big problem. When I solved this, other things then aligned themselves. So this happened. Yes.
हेलो, कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशंस मैम।
Thank you.
आई वांटेड टू आस्क, प्रीलिम से 1 महीने पहले आपका क्या शेड्यूल और एक्टिविटी रहता था अपने सारे सिलेबस को लेके?
As I was enrolled in Lakshya Revision Program, so my schedule and everything was aligned with the program schedule. So before 1 month, I think we were on the second or third revision. So I was doing that, and I was studying minimum 10 to 11 or 12. That was rare, but 11 to 12 hours. As you approach close to exam, I think it's better to study more and more. Do you want me to tell the whole day schedule or just for what I was studying?
नहीं, जस्ट अ बेसिक आइडिया कि कैसे आप डिवाइड करते थे और किस तरीके से उसको फुलफिल करते थे अपने सारे टास्क को.
Okay, so but the problem is with me was that economy मुझे बहुत टफ लगता था, तो I used to keep a slot for economy specifically. So irrespective of whatever I am studying, I would study economy compulsorily, and then I would divide my time as per GS subjects. For example, 2 GS subjects with 1 or 2 hour for economy, और कुछ CSAT का time निकाल के, that I used to do. Current affairs would be accumulated with the GS subject only.
Okay, thank you.
So should I move to interview part?
I have one question.
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm facing problem in answer writing from the beginning itself. It's since 8 to 9 months, but still I'm not able to write answer properly.
So what is the problem that you are facing?
The content which we are getting in the classes, I find it in some question it's too much to accumulate in 10 marker, or in 15 marker it's somewhere I'm finding it too little to elaborate it. So how can I approach that?
See, I would say try to practice more and more questions. There must be some problem with your practice. Try to practice 5 or 10 questions. If you're finding that still I'm not getting there, try to practice more. Practice will keep you engaged in this process, and then you will improve yourself. And as for the improvement, feedback is also important. Whatever feedback you're getting, try to get in touch with the mentor. Whatever he's seeing in your answer, since I'm not, I cannot see your answer, so I cannot comment directly. The mentor will be able to help you better than me in this situation. And I've also used to, I would also use this to tell you that for any guidance, I think going to your teachers or your mentors is much better option than going to any topper. A topper has experienced it once or twice, but a mentor or a teacher is experiencing multiple times in a year. He or she will be able to guide you better for such very specific problems that you are facing. Okay, so anything else?
Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you.
मैम मेरे को आपसे मेंस को लेके थोड़ा पूछना था, क्वेश्चंस को लेके, कि जैसे अपन GS1 में कोई एक सब्जेक्ट अपन पूरा कर लेते हैं, जैसे हिस्ट्री का है या जियोग्राफी का है, तो मैम जैसे आपका सब्जेक्ट पूरा हो जाता था, उसके बाद आप जैसे क्वेश्चंस उठाते थे, तो मतलब कहाँ से, मतलब डायरेक्ट PYQ से ही जैसे लेने होते हैं कि मतलब टेस्ट सीरीज से करते थे, कैसे मतलब आपका स्ट्रेटजी उसको लेके कैसे रहता था?
जब मैं कोई एक सब्जेक्ट स्टार्ट करती थी, उसका मैंने कोई भी टॉपिक किया, फॉर एग्जाम्पल ज्योग्राफी आपने बोला, तो उसका फर्स्ट पार्ट यूनिवर्स एंड एवरीथिंग, जब मैंने वो कंप्लीट किया, उससे रिलेटेड PYQs में साथ के साथ अटेम्प्ट करती थी. अगर PYQ नहीं मिल रहा है तो इंटरनेट पे कोई क्वेश्चन अगर अवेलेबल है, टेस्ट सीरीज में कुछ है, तो वो मैं प्रैक्टिस करती थी. टेस्ट भी आपके सेक्शनल टेस्ट होते हैं, तो उसमें पूरा सिलेबस एक टाइम पे नहीं होता. आपके बेसिक ज्योग्राफी ही है, तो ज्योग्राफी का भी कुछ पार्ट होगा, तो वहाँ तक का सिलेबस हो जाने के बाद आई यूज्ड टू गिव टेस्ट, देन द नेक्स्ट पार्ट, एंड देन द फुल लेंथ टेस्ट ऑफ द होल सब्जेक्ट. एंड ऑल्सो देर इज़ वन थिंग, व्हेन यू गिव फुल लेंथ टेस्ट ऑफ वन सब्जेक्ट, आपको वही इन्फॉर्मेशन कई बार बार लिखनी पड़ती है, तो कहीं ना कहीं आपको लगता है कि ये कैसे होगा, मार्क्स भी थोड़े कम आते हैं. बट जब आप GS का ऑन होल देते हो, तो आपको क्या होता है कि एक सब्जेक्ट को आपको 3 या 4 क्वेश्चन में ही एड्रेस करना है, तो दैट इज़ अ डिफरेंट एंड समवट बेटर सिचुएशन. तो इसमें भी डिफरेंस है, तो इसलिए अपने फुल लेंथ टेस्ट और सेक्शनल टेस्ट को भी बैलेंस करके करिएगा.
थैंक यू.
सो नाउ शुड आई मूव ऑन?
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
हाँ जी.
I have question regarding history optional. Like हम हिस्ट्री को ओवरव्यू देखते हैं तो लगता है इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा फैक्ट हैं. फिर स्पेसिफिकली मुझे थोड़ा आर्ट एंड कल्चर से डर लगता है, उसमें स्पेसिफिक ब्रूट फैक्ट लगते हैं, तो लगता है आंसर राइटिंग के वक्त में बहुत सारे फैक्ट मैं भूल जाता हूँ. तो लाइक हाउ डिड यू हैंडल विथ ऑल दोज थिंग्स?
ये प्रॉब्लम मुझे भी थी. आर्ट एंड कल्चर से तो मुझे अभी भी डर ही लगता है. उसके लिए एक प्लेटफॉर्म है गूगल आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर. उसमें सब कुछ तो नहीं है, बट बहुत कुछ है जो आपको हेल्प कर सकता है उसको पिक्चर के थ्रू मेमोराइज करने में. तो वहाँ पे बहुत कुछ है. 360 डिग्री विजिट ऑफ द प्लेसेस, इंपॉर्टेंट प्लेसेस ऑफ योर, फॉर एग्जाम्पल वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट्स, और उसके अलावा जब मेरे साथ ये प्रॉब्लम होती थी कि जब मैं पढ़ती हूँ उस चीज़ को तो मुझे वो याद तो हो जाती थी बट मुझे समझ नहीं आता था, मैं उसको समझने की कोशिश नहीं करती थी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ़ दे आर मैंशनिंग एनी टाइप ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर, तो अगर वो ट्रेविएट बोल रहे हैं, आर्क्यूएट बोल रहे हैं, तो आप उसकी पिक्चर देखने की कोशिश करिए, बिकॉज यू कैन ऑल्सो यूज़ दैट फॉर मेकिंग डायग्राम्स एज वेल. तो जब आप वो चीज़ करेंगे ना तो आपको समझ आएगा, और समझ आएगा तो आपको याद भी होगा. तो पिक्चर फॉर्मेट में उसको देखने की, याद करने की कोशिश करके देखिएगा, आपको आई थिंक वो हेल्प करेगा. और गूगल आर्ट्स एंड कल्चर बहुत अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म है. जब भी आपको लगे कि ये नहीं समझ आ रहा है या फिर बोरियत हो रही है, तो उसमें कुछ ना कुछ स्क्रॉल करके देखिएगा, कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग मिल ही जाएगा आपको इंडियन आर्ट एंड कल्चर से रिलेटेड.
So one more thing, ma'am, I need confirmation. Like after reading for 1.5 years regularly history, like were you able to contain all the facts specifically of history, not art and culture? Like I want that belief that I would also be able to contain all those facts, at least 80 or 70%.
फैक्चुअल तो क्वेश्चन इतने आते भी नहीं है ना, वो आपको डायरेक्ट कोई ये नहीं पूछ रहे कि आप बताइए इस ईयर में ये हुआ है नहीं. वो आपको एक ब्रॉड टॉपिक पे एक क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, उसमें आप अपनी मर्जी के फैक्ट्स डालोगे जो आपको याद है. तो आप कोशिश करिए अगर आपको कुछ कुछ याद हो उससे रिलेटेड. फॉर एग्जांपल वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री की एक टाइमलाइन आपको याद हो, वियतनाम वॉर के फेजेस आपको थोड़े बहुत याद हों, आप अगर उसको, वियतनाम वॉर का कोई क्वेश्चन इस बार आया भी था, तो अगर आप उसको लेते हैं, आप उसको खुद से फेज में डिवाइड करके लिखेंगे, उन्हें थोड़ी पता आपको क्या याद है क्या नहीं है, वो तो आपको पता है. आपको जितना आपको याद है ना उसको यूटिलाइज करना है. तो ऐसा मत सोचिए कि अगर 100 फैक्ट हैं मुझे 100 के 100 आने चाहिए. आप 50 को इस तरीके से यूटिलाइज करें कि आप उसको सारे आंसर्स में यूज़ कर सकें. तो ये इसको आप अपने पर्सपेक्टिव को थोड़ा चेंज करने की कोशिश करो तो आपको इजी लगेगा.
थैंक यू.
Yes, if it's a glaring mistake, it will be an issue.
Good evening, ma'am. Can you elaborate more about your economics strategy for specifically prelims?
As I mentioned, Aditya Kalia sir के notes से I was able to get a clear picture, conceptual understanding. Then for value addition, I went to Mrunal sir's notes. So my strategy was simple. वो pillar wise जो divide करते हैं उसी के basis पे I used to revise. I used to revise it every day because it is very vast. So you tend to forget many things. So for multiple revisions, I used to do it. You can also do if you find economy difficult. Apart from that, there is no separate strategy with me. Only these two sources that I used.
Okay, thank you.
गुड इवनिंग मैम. मैम आपकी इनिशियल अटैम्प्ट में एनसीईआरटीज़ को लेके क्या स्ट्रेटजी थी? मतलब एनसीईआरटीज़ रीड करके आप स्टैंडर्ड बुक्स की तरफ जाते थे या फिर पहले डायरेक्ट स्टैंडर्ड बुक्स को रीड करते थे?
सिंस आई एम फ्रॉम ह्यूमैनिटीज़ बैकग्राउंड, तो एनसीईआरटी मैंने मेजर सब्जेक्ट्स की पढ़ी हुई थी. तो हिस्ट्री की मैंने नहीं पढ़ी, पॉलिटी की नहीं पढ़ी. आई रेड एज आई मैंशनड एनसीईआरटी ऑफ ज्योग्राफी ओनली फॉर्मली बिकॉज नोट्स बहुत अच्छे थे मेरे. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट आई रेड एनसीईआरटीज़ फॉर साइंस एंड टेक, क्योंकि वो मेरा बैकग्राउंड नहीं है. तो 6th to 10th की एनसीईआरटी मैंने साइंस एंड टेक की तो बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ी है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट इतनी कुछ खास नहीं पढ़ी.
थैंक यू मैडम.
Hello Simran. So first of all, congrats on earning the opportunity to serve the country. My question is, like you mentioned that in questions you were used to add personal touch to questions, right, to impact the examiner. So can you give an example how personal touch?
I'll give you an example of ethics paper. There was a question about how this BNS new laws are somewhat related to Indian tradition or Indian culture. So there I remember reading in my notes about some Indian words. I cannot recall exactly my answer right now, but at that moment I connected those words with the question. I don't know what formally was asked in that question, but whatever I remembered, I wrote it. So personal touch is trying to understand the requirement of question. You may not find that answer exactly in your notes, क्योंकि आप नोट्स रिवाइज करते रहो, आपको लगता है कि एथिक्स में मैंने ये कर लिया है. आपको एग्जैक्टली वो क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछेंगे, आपको क्वेश्चन वो कुछ ना कुछ घुमा के पूछेंगे, कुछ ट्रिकी पूछेंगे. अब हमने एथिक्स के जो मेरे नोट्स थे उसमें एआई इतना स्पेसिफिकली मेंशन नहीं था जितना उन्होंने क्वेश्चन में पूछ लिया एआई को. अब आपको ऑन द स्पॉट वो करना है. पर्सनल टच इज हाउ यू यूज योर GS3 नॉलेज, योर GS2 नॉलेज टू योर GS4. कि वहाँ पर जो आपने AI के डेंजर्स पढ़े हैं उसको आप एथिकली कैसे एड्रेस कर रहे हैं, एथिकली वो क्या डेंजर्स है, एथिकली उसका सोल्यूशन क्या है. So this is how you correlate subjects and then understand the requirement of question. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, right. So basically trying to integrate the subjects.
Yes.
And one more question. So in which attempt did you join Vision?
I joined Vision before starting my I started my preparation with Vision in 2021, and then I completed the foundation course. I attempted my prelims. First prelims I was not prepared, but I did it just for the experience. In second, the paper was everybody knows the 2023 prelims. I got very anxious during the paper, and I could not just attempt it. So that is how I got out of that race, and then this attempt is, you know.
Okay, so for 3 years you revise the same notes, right?
Yes, and then adding to them.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, since I'm also from history background, so I would like to ask, since our honor syllabus and optional syllabus align a lot, so did your graduation notes help you in your optional preparation?
Yes, to do some value additions, to write names of some historians, because it can greatly help you. So my graduation notes were helpful in that sense. Okay, now should I go to the next stage? So the next stage is the interview stage, which I personally found the most difficult for me, because I was mostly academically inclined. I was used to studying in my room or with 2 or 3 friends of mine at max, and then you are at a stage where you have to face a board of 5 people who are constantly in a way calculating every move of yours, and then also you have a recording of that interaction, and then you have to watch that recording and see where are you lacking. I was finding that whole process very difficult for me personally. So for interview, my strategy was only to take as many mocks as possible in order to get out of this fear of facing the board. My interview was on 3rd Feb. It was quite early, not the most early, but still. I was able to give around 10 mocks, not formal mocks, but these days there are also like 3 panel mocks, 1-to-1 session. So in total there were 10 interactions, but formally there were 5 or 6 mocks. Initially I was very underconfident, very anxious. If you would see my initial mocks, you would say, what is this happening? Because when I showed them to my mentor, he said, it looks like you are in a funeral, because there was no smile on my face. I was dying inside, and I was ready to just run away from that place. But with time you improve, and this happened with me. In interview I scored 177. My experience of the interview was very good. I got Sanjay Verma sir's board, and the board was very cordial. So what I would like to say about interview is that the board tries to calculate your personality only, not your knowledge. For example, they asked me very broad questions. So they would ask कि NEP के बारे में आपको क्या लगता है कि ये जो भी हो रहा है, so is it good? How do you see it since you have cleared UGC NET? So अब वहाँ पर NEP उन्होंने पूछ लिया है. Throughout your preparation, you would read 5 pros, 5 cons, but on the spot you would recall 2 or 3. So what are those 2 or 3? How do you choose? This is the one I'm going to say. They would judge you on the basis of that. If you say one thing, is that important according to them, but it is important according to you. So that is how they judge your personality during the interview. And also I was lucky to get a board जो कि मेरे hobbies और मेरे interests को जानने में ज़्यादा interested थे. So there were more questions from that. There were questions from history, because history is like screaming from my DAF. So apart from that, the questions were very normal, not difficult at all. It all came down to my performance during the interview. I had a good experience overall. Anything you want to ask from this for this particular stage? For my hobbies, I was interested in reading fictional books. So I was advised to write as specific as possible. So if I write fictional books, then they would be asking me from anything about fictional books. So then I just I filtered it down to fictional books about world history and Middle East region, because these were the books that I had read largely from Middle East and then world history. So I wrote it that way. And then the second one was I'm very interested in watching movies, especially those which get Oscar. So those type of movies, and then the reviews. So then I wrote movies, critical analysis and all that, movie reviews. So there were questions from both these hobbies. I will also advise you to write as specific as possible. So for example, if you are writing movies, then mention whether Bollywood or Hollywood or any other regional cinema, so that उनको पता हो कि हमें बस यहीं से पूछना है. Okay. And anything else? So lastly, I would like to thank VisionIAS, some of the faculties, Smriti ma'am, Jatin sir, Harsh sir, जिनके मैंने directly notes सिर्फ उन्हीं के ही पढ़े हैं, और उसके अलावा मैंने उस particular subject को लेके कुछ और नहीं किया है. Then I had my mentor Prabhav Shukla sir during my Lakshya revision program, and in my first attempt also I opted for Lakshya revision. There my mentor was Sonal Priyadarshini ma'am. She also tried to guide me, but it was my own fault that I was directionless back then. And right now also I was enrolled in Lakshya revision program for this year's prelims, and my mentor was Vibhasina ma'am. She's also very helpful in terms of whenever I used to feel anxious about the result or whatever I was preparing, and she would also help me a lot during that. And apart from that, there are some broad topics like handling stress during the preparation. For me, it was just venting out my frustration to my friends, to my family. I was very lucky, I am very lucky to have such people around me who have faith in me more than the faith I have in me. And then peer group, as I said, is very important during my preparation of interview. As I have opted for IFS, so I was hoping for more questions from IR. And I have my friend who has PSIR as optional. So I used those notes and I prepared from that. Although I did not get any question from IR, but it was because of those notes that I was feeling confident about IR. We used to discuss every day about probable questions that could be asked, and I used to get very, very insightful answers from my friends. And then there is also this point of should you go for coaching, but I don't think that applies to you. You are already here. If you have opted for it, then go for it with full confidence. Complete your coaching with consistency. That is important. Do not go into multiple sources. If you have a coaching joint, complete the class, revise the notes, and that is enough for now. As prelims approach, try to increase your number of hours of your study and number of revisions. Attempt more and more mocks. That will improve not just your accuracy, but also will improve your logical reasoning about GS also. So for example, even in GS we have 30 to 35 questions from basics that you must know, but then there are also so many other 40 questions that you will have to attempt on the basis of your logical reasoning power. As you attempt more and more mocks, this power of your will improve. From correcting 20 out of 40 questions, you can reach to 30 to 35 even. So that is what mocks helps you with. So that is my overall guide for this session. Anything you want to ask?
Preparing for the UPSC Civil Services examination demands strong preparation across all mains papers. And when it comes to scoring well in the mains, your optional subject plays a crucial role. A good performance in your optional paper can be the difference between just qualifying and securing a top rank. To help you build a strong conceptual foundation and improve answer writing, VisionIAS presents the Optional Classroom Program 2026, available in both live online and classroom offline modes. Subjects offered: Geography, Sociology, Political Science and International Relations. Batch starts from 20th June, 2 p.m. Physics. Classes start from 15th July.
And on the other hand, we listened to some toppers. They say that it was very clear in my mind that my first attempt is last attempt, and they cleared it. So, ma'am, as you have also mentioned that in your this attempt, you
make some changes like some strategies and focus. So as a beginner for us, what are the advices and that we must stick with and ignore some mistakes?
See, there is no first, last attempt. There is only one attempt which gets you through it. So it can be your first, second, third, any attempt. So I have actually spent the whole session to tell those advices only. Be consistent, stick to less sources and just practice more and more. Be it prelims or mains or interview. हर जगह यही होता mock दीजिए mock बस. Okay, be consistent with your preparation, whatever you are doing. In my first attempt, I was not consistent. I was also pursuing MA side by side. So it was difficult for me back then to juggle between both. So, and it costed me an attempt, right? So consistency is the key for me. And then also learning from your mistakes.
Do we have any more questions? Anybody? Okay, so Simran, thank you so much. And I think you have largely covered everything that we needed to know. So this is what consistency looks like, hard work looks like, and simplicity and humility looks like. Right? Before we end the session, we all of us are very proud of you, and we hope you do the service and you deserved it and make the nation proud. So once again, just for last, a big round of applause for Simran.